A professor who was called a transphobe by students who tried to get her sacked subsequently has resigned. This is big news in this field. Kathleen Stock quit her job at the University of Sussex earlier today. Andrew Doyle, host of Free Speech Nation, has been following the recent ups and downs and fortunes of Kathleen Stock closely. Did you expect her to go?
I didn't actually, insofar as the university had stood up for her rights and had actually said it is not acceptable to harass and bully and attack and intimidate a member of staff when they are simply exercising their academic freedom. And let's not forget what it is she's actually said. She said that biological sex is a reality. And the irony of all of this is that if you actually read Kathleen Stock's latest book, Material Girls, or if you read anything she's written about this subject, she is one of the most compassionate and calm and placid voices in this debate. The way that she has been depicted is, well, I say depicted, mischaracterised, frankly. But I thought because the university, and particularly the Vice-Chancellor, had stood up for her and said that, this is not acceptable, the ones that actually supported the idea that she should be sacked, weirdly enough, was the union. So the academics union, who, of course, should be the ones who were standing up for her.
Not the students' union, the academics union.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is the thing. So I didn't expect, I think it's very sad, but I understand it. I mean, once you have experienced those kind of things, this has been very hard on Kathleen Stock and her family. There's been a lot of pressure. When you are sort of the subject, the centre of this storm, it can be very difficult. And going back to work in those conditions, I imagine, would be very difficult to do.
It's worth making the point, isn't it, that oftentimes people who go into academia, they're cerebral folk. They prefer a library to, a debating chamber like the House of Commons. They've chosen a particular course, haven't they?
Yeah.
And it's not to be confrontational, it's to be contemplative.
Yeah, I suppose it depends which teaching staff you're thinking of in particular, but you're right. Most of them are not combative by nature. And she's not written about this subject in order to provoke, to stir up a fight. She is reacting to a reality of our time, a discourse of our time that requires further debate and discussion, not less. If anything, the hostility and toxicity around the debate has been heightened and exacerbated precisely because people aren't talking about it. And instead they just threaten and mudsling, and it's not good enough. So it is a shame that it's happened, but maybe it was inevitable.
Yeah. On the discourse you were talking about, we'll flick onto this story, which I think is pretty astonishing, really. It's in a similar vein. Canada, that's where some schools have started to remove supposedly harmful books from schools, and in particular, Handmaid's Tale. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just one school, by the way. I mean, this is there's an article the other day about the Waterloo Region District School Board. Margaret Atwood herself retweeted the article about this.
Author.
Yes, exactly. And The Handmaid's Tale, of course, you would think of this as a great sort of work of modern feminist literature. But that has been removed from a number of schools in Canada, and the article talks about that because of outdated tropes, or what they describe as misogynistic tropes. I mean, this is utterly absurd at this point. The article also talks about how The Lord of the Flies was taken out by Ottawa's school board. And what was fascinating about that is they said that this is William Golding's Lord of the Flies. They say they took it out because of its outdated themes. Well, it was written a while ago, and it also said that one of the themes is white male power structures, right? Well, if you know the novel, you will know that if it is about white male power structures, they're not.
It doesn't end well for Piggy.
They don't come across well, do they? It's not as though it's clearly bolstering this idea. It's a form of kind of historical illiteracy, and the problem is that it's libraries doing it. Now, we were talking the other day, weren't we, about Homerton College in Cambridge, and the archivists there uploading their content to the internet and adding trigger warnings to books like Little House on the Prairie or The Water Babies or Dr. Seuss. And you could say, well, that's just a warning, for parents in case it's kids. It's not. Because they describe this as harmful. They describe these books as harmful, and that's the difference. This shouldn't be compared to, say, the warnings that the BBFC put on films to warn parents about content, because they don't say these films are harmful and can cause real-world harm. Ideologically, these librarians, these archivists, they think that these books are dangerous.
But a book just like The Handmaid's Tale, I mean, I'm not a fan of it particularly, but my teenage daughters, it's a biblical text for young women.
I mean, I taught the book, so I actually think it's a fantastic piece of work, and I think the idea, but this is the bizarre thing about it.
But the trans campaigners, by saying, actually, no, you need to be suspicious of this book.
Yeah.
are going to lose potential allies?
Oh, because it's insane. I mean, and to be honest, most trans people would also think this is insane. I've seen a few extreme activists online talking about how The Handmaid's Tale centres the notion of cis heteronormativity or the idea of women reproducing, and therefore that's somehow problematic. It's a nonsense, and believe me, most trans people would also accept that this is a nonsense. This is not representative of trans people. This kind of thing is representative of extreme activists who have managed to worm their way into libraries of all places. And
what was that phrase you just used, cis what?
So did I say cis heteronormative? Probably.
No, it was brilliant. I mean, given that we went for lunch today, you managed to screw it. I'm glad that fell to you to say, not me. We've learned today, by the way, that doing a crude imitation of a Liverpudlian to a Liverpudlian is not racist. This after a tribunal ruled that a bus driver's boss was not mocking him when he did an impression of this Harry Enfield sketch, which you may remember.
Come on here, then, Terry. Do you need a hand or what, eh?
It's all right, Alba. I'm just going to knock this fella's lights out, if that's all right with you.
Hold on. Are you asking me if that's all right?
Yeah, I am. What are you going to do about it?
Do what I friggin' like.
Oh, yeah. Come on, then.
Come on.
Why don't you ask him? He started it.
Calm down, Andrew.
yeah, so the judge has ruled that that is not racist because it's not racist. You know, so I mean, it's as simple as that, really. Well, actually, what happened? It was a bus driver, a Liverpudlian bus driver in Scotland, and it was the manager who'd actually made the voice and said, "Calm down" in that way, and he saw this as offensive, and he said it was mocking his Englishness, you know, from a Scottish person. Maybe it was. Actually, it sounds like she was mocking him, to be fair. But does this really have to go to court? I mean, he said he was so upset by it that he took 2 days off work and lost his job as a result. So that's why it became complicated. But, you know, is it that? I mean, this is how we resolve things now? I mean, that's just someone poking fun at someone else. And if it has to go to tribunal or court every time that somebody does that, we have no human interaction left anymore, do we? We're just joyless and soulless. And what's the point of that?
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.